Hello. So, you know what? I figured everyone's getting their community ACs into this whole thing. Figured I might as well go toss mine in here as well. So this is my Caffeinator. It is basically just desert colors with that nice turquoise blue going on in the lines. Pretty much a 1000 mg rockets, 9 spread micromissiles, and a blade with inside decoys and a core MG. Generally speaking, uses what I like to refer to as the rigid beef combo, so the Cougar 2s with the Lorises. Pretty much resistant to most stuff, and, I mean, they can even, like, tank Moonlight hits and whatnot. So, it's pretty darn good, generally speaking. I like to think anyway. It's pretty much my usual build in most of these games. Originally came out in Nexus. Used a similar build before then. Actually used to have something very similar to this in 3 most of the time. Just these legs and arms didn't quite exist yet, but at any rate, it's pretty much entirely about just out-tanking the other guy. The micro-missiles are just there to eventually hit something. I mean, with 9 of them flying around, they're bound to at least do some damage. Machine guns are just there for constant damage. The rockets are there to hopefully stun the other guy if they're not particularly able to resist them. And the blade's just there for extra damage. So, like all these others, it is a very general purpose build. It was particularly useful in LR because of the tankiness. I was able to last out a lot of the things going on there. We're going to do the same format as before, best 3 out of 5 against these other 3 community ACs, and, well, then from there, you're going to have all of them fight the Tempest, which I don't think any of them will win, but that's a whole other thing on its own. Alright, so 1 to the Caffeinator so far. Back to the, what was that, the Cerberus. That is not the one I want. Where are you, Cerberus? You are under mascots. I might just do 2 out of 3, actually, since there's 3 things to go through. And no one's gonna sit here watching this for a billion years. So even though its AI is set up to close in with missiles, it for some reason reads that as, I want to use this machine gun from long range. Who knows why? But quirks of AI and so on. Alright, so that did some pretty good stuff there, although we got overheated in the process. Yeah, the decoys are mostly always just there because of all the extra missiles that were flying around in LR. Screw it. Can't dodge him, he's gonna tank him. Whoa. Okay, there was a loud noise. I think the cat's messing with something. Alright, so I think this is gonna be... Generally speaking, this thing does overheat relatively easily. But again, its whole thing is to be able to plink off light damage, and then generally speaking, its main worry is about missiles. So napalm rockets it can't stand against very much, but then again, what can? And then with missiles, that's what has the decoys. Alright, so I'm gonna say it probably is pretty decent against the Cerberus, just because the decoys pretty much mitigate its main damage, and the rest of its weapons are pretty plinky against this thing. So just going to move on to the Obscuro. It's got much better odds because of the blade, but again, because of the way AI works, they both might well get a trade, in which case that would end up pretty much breaking them out even. In this case, since I've got the Dagger Blade and the Loris arms have unusually high blade aptitude, so it does quite a bit of damage. Oof, alright. There we go, they traded. Jesus. Okay, that is doing a lot better with that blade than I expected. And actually a lot better than I would have. So that works. I generally, since they removed blade tracking in the later games, I generally just prefer to use it on the ground. Most of the time, I just try to avoid the thing instead of anything else, just try to trap them instead of getting a blade hit. Okay, there we go. Round 1 goes to the Caffeinator. This thing needs to lose a little bit, and this is looking biased. Where were you? Team... No. Should be in Team 10, right? No, I keep loading Team 10, that's a completely wrong one. No, you're in Tomato. You are. Team Tomato. Alright. This time, don't get turned into a tomato. There we go. Battle on the Highlands, perfect for a sword fight. But no, generally speaking, with how they are, the Caffeinator is just like a heavier version of the Obscuro in many ways. Just with extra rockets and decoys in there. They both use similar main weapons, they both use the core, both use a blade, both use the micro-missiles. I just prefer the 9s to the 7s. I'm actually not really sure why the 7s are, or why the 5s and 7s are more popular. I guess personally I've just found the 9s to be ludicrously more accurate, but I don't know, maybe I'm just missing something. Although in a lot of cases they do seem to be there as just kind of an extra, I need to slap a weapon on this kind of thing. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably missing something. Alright, so that close-range rocket crushed it. Yeah, finished off with 3 consecutive rockets. That's good going on the AI's part for pretty much having no attack strategy. Although I guess it's not really utilizing a strategy so much as it is, well, doing what it's doing. Yeah, it's set for the maximum possible weapon handling, but its strategy is entirely in its chips, so I guess that one doesn't matter much in this case. Alright, and the last one is the upgraded Jester, so we'll see where this goes. I have no predictions about this one, actually. The only case that I can see it turning completely around, since they're both fairly bulky, is if they get to close range. Just because the Dagger Blade with the Lorises are definitely going to beat the Elf 2 with those arms. There's no question about that. Decoys should get rid of most of the missiles, but because of the way that the micros travel, there's still a good chance that they'll end up hitting anyway. I'm actually a little bit surprised that these community ACs didn't have decoys for the most part. I'm assuming that has something, again, to do with the AC D&D thing. I don't know if decoys are a weird thing in that or something. But yeah, I love me some decoys. It's like one of those don't leave home without it kind of things. Need 1000 MG, need the decoys. Need all the defense and all the longevity. Just outlast the other guy. And I've always preferred playing these. Thank you. Man, those work a lot better when they actually hit. So, okay, this is... Perhaps those decoys are making a bigger deal than I might have originally intended, or thought, or... Well, I guess my intention really was just to remake my AC, not so much for this to happen, but I will probably take it. Though I'm pretty sure all 4 of them will be completely demolished by the Tempest, but we'll see. We shall see. That's going to be its own little format. Oof. Alright. A little one-sided-ish. I mean, he's still at a third. Could be worse. Could be like friggin' any fight against Crossback, but still. It's just the decoys. Because he literally can avoid every one of those missile shots, or at least mitigate their damage. because between all of them, the micros always come with 10 bursts each, and I have 20 decoys in this thing. So it just comes down to a gunfight after that. Oof, nice. More of those swords in. By the way, Kami, if you're watching this, if you want your guy to... If you want, I can pop an operation chip for your guy to use his blade more, but he seems to do a good job of reacting with it. He just kind of uses it more situationally right now and doesn't go in for a bum rush or anything. So that can be changed if you want. And he can be changed as needed. It's not like there's any hard rule set that we're following here. This is mostly just for amusement. Because it's AC, everything has a counter. I love this music in here. Alright. Yeah, I think it's safe to call it already. Interestingly, by the way, if you set up your AI seemingly to be entirely defensive instead of offensive, they seem to do a better job of putting away their EO. So I think I might be utilizing that for a lot more builds in the future. I'll go back and change it where it's relevant. But yeah, it's really the only thing I kind of experimented on changing with this guy, since this chicken head doesn't actually have a whole lot of points. So I just took them all out and basically made it manually computer controlled, more or less. He was just given a set of orders and he follows them out and that's it. But when he's not being aggressive, he's not using his EO, so he only uses it when he's actually defending himself against the other guy. But at any rate, I guess that was just a little showcase of this stealing. And next is the Tempest.